Hello students, this is the part second for chapter number 4 business services, and in this video we will discuss about one of the very important business service, that is insurance. So insurance is not only important in business activities and smoothing of business activities, but is also help in general life. So we will discuss about its various types, principles and other matters. So what do you really mean by insurance? See, insurance is something you can say it is a protection or it is security against the various kind of uncertainties. See, there are a lot of uncertainties which are given here, like buildings may get wholly or partially destroyed due to the fire, storms, cyclones, etc. Goods and other property may be lost or destroyed due to theft, robbery, fire, flood, and such other happenings beyond human control. So both life and property are exposed to the risk of accidents, and that is death or serious injuries that caused by an accident, so which can lead to the death or which can lead to the permanent disability. So everyone is exposed to any kind of risk, whether it's a personal life or whether it's business. So there are a lot of risk, and insurance is a security or a protection against losses which caused by the natural and man-made factors. So you can say that it is an instrument or it is a device by which the loss likely to be caused by an uncertain event is spread over a number of persons who are exposed to it, which means that a lot of persons which are paying the premium, who are paying the premium for the insurance, so the loss is spread among them. It means that the person who will get the insurance compensation, it will be from the premiums which are paid by the lot of persons. So indirectly you can say that the loss is spread over a lot of persons. So this is actually insurance, and you can say that it is a contract or agreement under which a party agrees in return of a consideration called premium, which may be monthly, quarterly, half yearly or annually, to pay an agreed amount of money to another party to make a loss, damage or injury due to something of value. Let me make you very simple, that a person who agreed to pay the premiums, okay, there are some terms. The person who is getting assured is known as insured, okay. It's given here, the person who risk is insured is called insured, and the firm or the individual who provides the insurance is known as insurer. So this line, it means that the insured person or the assured person is paying the premium just to get the compensation at the time of loss, and the insurer is liable to pay the losses which is according to the terms and condition which is mentioned in the policy. Now what exactly policy is? Policy is a contract between the insurer and insured. It is known as policy. So the insured is liable to pay the compensation, and he will pay the insurer will pay the compensation according to the terms and condition of the policy. So insured, the person who get assured, and the insurer, the person who provide the insurance. Okay. Now we'll see one of the very important topic, that is fundamental principle of insurance. Fundamental principle insurance, which is, there are some guidelines. See, principles are some guidelines on which any activity or any process will work. So it's given here that it's the principle of insurance is that individual or business concern chooses to spend a definite amount of money in place of a possible huge amount involved in the indefinite future loss. So insurance only done just because of the uncertainties in the future, and maybe the risk due to the large possible losses and the risk due to the various natural and man-made causes. So these principles are some of the guidelines on which every insurance is based, and we will see what are the various kind of insurance principles which are applicable in type of insurances. So first principle is utmost good faith. This is one of the most important one. See, utmost good faith means the insurer and insured, they both should be faithful to each other. It's given here that it is a contract of abreme fide. It means the contract found of the utmost good faith. In this, that both the insurer and insured should display good faith toward each other in regard to the contract. It means that they should disclose each and every information to each other. For example, like if one person is a heart patient, or if any person is really is assured with a life insurance, but the person hide the fact that he is having some heart problem, and if the person died due to that problem, the insurance company can deny to pay the premium. Why? Because he hide the fact that he is already having the heart problems or something like that. Okay, see, is given here that insured must voluntarily make full accurate disclosure of all the facts material to the risk being proposed. So he should disclose all the information, that if he is having any kind of risk, if he is having any kind of conditions. And on the same on other hand, the insurer must make all clear all the terms and condition in the insurance contract, which means that he should disclose that what will be the terms and condition on base of which you will get the compensations. So this is the principle of utmost good faith, which means that both insured and insurer should show good faith to each other. They should disclose all the information regarding the policies and regarding the risk. Next one is insurable interest. Now, what is insurable interest? See, the insured or the person who get assured with the insurance must have an insurable interest in the subject matter of insurance. For example, suppose if you are having a car and you have taken vehicle insurance for your car. Now, why you are taking insurance? Because you are having an interest in your car. You are not gonna take vehicle insurance from some other's car because you are not having any kind of interest. See, the person who is getting life insurance, so the children or the dependents of the person, they are having the interest in the particular assured life's person. That's why they will get the compensation. So, you know, the person should have the insurable interest in particular property or the life of the persons. So that is insurable interest. Example, like a businessman has an insurable interest in the stock of goods. So if the stock of goods get damaged, the person will get effect. The children's or the wife having the insurable interest in husband's life. So if anything happens to the husband, the life of the wife and children will get affected. So they are having the insurable interest. So this is a principle which say that the person must have the insurable interest in the subject matter or in the particular life of the person or the particular insured property. One more example is given here. Similarly, suppose a person who has had advance money on the security of a factory can take fire insurance policy of that factory, through he is not the owner of the factory, but he has a financial interest in the factory premises. It means, suppose if any person provided a loan to anyone, and suppose anything happened to that next party and he is assured, so the loan provider can claim the compensation because he is having the interest in that particular property, because he granted the loan. He granted the loan on basis of that security of that particular factory or particular property. So that is insurable interest. Moving to the next, principle of indemnity, very interesting and very important one. See, principle of indemnity, it is only applicable in fire insurance and marine insurance. Okay, that will see what exactly fire insurance, marine insurance in upcoming topic. Principle of indemnity states that the insurer undertakes to compensate the insured for the loss caused to him or her due to the damage or destruction of the property insured. Or in simple terms, you can read in your NCERT, the insurer promise to bring back the insured in the same condition, to brought the insured in the same condition before the time of loss. Okay, so that is principle of indemnity. And why it is not applicable in case of life insurance? Because the damage which occurs due to the life damage cannot be compensated. Okay, you cannot bring back the life of the person. You cannot bring back the losses which occur due to the loss of the life of the person. So the principle of indemnity only applicable in case of fire and marine insurance. See, example is given here. Let's see this. A businessman get his stock of goods insured for rupees 4 lakh. If the goods are destroyed by the fire, the insured company will be liable to pay the compensation for the loss caused to the insured. However, the maximum compensation shall be of 4 lakh even if loss is more than this. And why is that? Because the company promise to bring back the insured person to the same position where before the loss. Okay, one more example I can add in that. Suppose the property is of rupees 4 lakh and the person has person has taken the insurance policy of 2 lakh, so he will get only, suppose the insurance policy of 4 lakh and the damage occurs due to any kind of risk is 2 lakh, so the company is liable to pay only rupees 2 lakh, because when they will provide the compensation of 2 lakh, the position will be the same which is at the time of loss. They are not liable to pay the whole amount, because the loss is only of a particular amount. So that is indemnity. So indemnity means to bring back to the same position by the insurer, and it is not possible in life insurance. I said you already, because no one can estimate the loss due to the death of the person. Okay, it is very huge, so it only applicable in case of fire insurance and marine insurance. So next one is doctrine of causa proxima, or the principle of proximate cause. It is given you in NCERT, proximate cause. It means when the loss is the result of the 2 or more causes. Okay, the proximate cause or the nearest cause of the destruction should be considered. Okay, or the direct cause should be considered considered as a reason for loss. See, it's given that the most dominant and most effective cause of loss should be taken into consideration. The insurance company is not liable for the remote cause. Okay, or you can say something like that. Suppose if the particular causes are not mentioned in the terms and condition of the policy, but the nearby cause which is near to the terms and conditions, which is near to the losses mentioned in the reasons mentioned in the policies, this should be taken into consideration. See, example is given here. See, fire is accepted as the proximate cause of loss. If there had been no fire and the goods would have destroyed due to the excessive heat, the insurance company would not be liable to pay the compensation, because the reason can be man-made also. Suppose if any loss which is occurred due to the short circuit of the wires or something like that, okay, the company can pay the amount. But suppose if something happens due to the negligence of employees or humans, this cause cannot be consideration as a reason for compensation. So yes, the nearest cause or the most dominant cause can be considered the reason for paying a compensation. So that is the proximate cause, which is the principle of insurance. Next one is principle of subrogations. It is given this PPT doctrine is same, the principle of subrogation. So subrogation means that after the insured is compensated by the insurer, the right of or the ownership of such property passes on the insurer. Okay, this is because the insured cannot make any profit by selling the damaged property. Okay, example is given here. Let's see the example. Suppose Mr. Y gets his motor car insured. Some of his parts go damaged in a road accident, and he gets the insurance claim and gets the damaged part replaced with the new one. But the damaged part will be taken by the insured company. The insured has no right over the damaged part, since he has already got a compensation for the loss, because if he is also getting the damaged part, he can sell them and he can earn a profit by them. So this is the principle of subrogation, that the ownership of the damaged property after paying the compensation will move to the insurer and will pass to the insurer. So that is principle of subrogation. Next one is principle of contribution. This is nothing but very simple. Suppose if the person is taken a double policy of if the person has taken policy more than one policy, and in the case of loss, the compensation or the amount of the compensation will be distributed among both of them. See, is given here, among both of the insurance company. If a person has taken more than one insurance policy for the same risk, then all the insurer will contribute the amount of the loss in proportion to the amount assured by each of them and compensate him for the actual amount of loss. Separately, the insured cannot claim total loss from each insurer, because he has no right to recover more than the full amount of his actual loss. So this is the thing. Suppose he has taken more than one policy for the property, so he cannot claim from both of the insured. Both of the insurance company will contribute to the actual loss. So this is the principle of contribution. Okay, is given here. If the full amount of is recovered from one insurer, the right to obtain further payment from the other insurer cease. Yes, and the insurer who has paid claim has the right to call upon other liable insurer to contribute for the loss of payment. So this is a contribution. Like example is given here. You can see by example. See, a businessman gets his factory insured against the fire for rupees 5 lakh. with the insurer A and rupees 3 lakh with the insurer B. And due to the fire, a loss of rupees 1,60,000 occurred. Then the insurer A and B will contribute the loss in the ratio 5:3 and will be liable to pay rupees 1 lakh and 60,000 respectively to the businessman. So you can see this is the contribution according to their ratio which is mentioned in this case. So that is principle of contribution. So these are the various principles which are applicable in case of insurance. One more principle which is given in NCERT is principle of mitigation. So principle of mitigation means that it doesn't mean that if you are having insurance then you should not take care of your property. You should take care of property, and proper precautions should be taken to protect your property from damage, because if it's found in future that the damage or the loss is caused intentionally or no precautions are taken, then sometimes it becomes hard to get the compensation. So these are the various principles of insurance. Now next topic is life insurance. So what is life insurance? So life insurance is basically protection against the uncertainty of life, that is death, or you can say disabilities. Life insurance may be defined as a contract in which the insurance company called insurer, I already told you, who provides the insurance and undertake the insure the life of the person, that is called assured or insured, in exchange of sum of money, that is called premium. Why some insurance company will provide you compensation? Because you are paying the premium monthly, quarterly, or in lump sum amount, and they will promise you to pay certain sum of money either on the death of the insured or on the expiry of certain period. So it depends upon the kind of policies and various kind of policies. So there are so many policies which is you can get in the market. Whole endowment policy, whole life assurance policy, child endowment policy, it's given you in NCERT. You just give a look on that. So some importance of life insurance, I think you all know what are the importance of life insurance. It provides the protection to the family against the premature death of individual. It gives adequate amount of old age when earning capacity are reduced, because in old age the person find to on the livelihood, so they provide protection against that. And it is not only the protection, it is also a instrument of investment. If you want to make an investment along with the protection, you can choose the life insurance. So this is important. Okay, these are the important. Now see what are the main elements of life insurance contract. Life insurance contract is the contract of utmost good faith. We have already discussed that both insurer and insured should disclose all the material facts to each other. In case of insurance policy, a person must have insurable interest in his or her own life. Yes, the thing is that it's given here that in the life of his or his spouse, or in the lives of her children, or the insured must have insurable interest at the time when the insurance is affected. Yes, so the principle of insurable interest is also applicable in life insurance. Like for example, you can say if the husband took a life insurance policy of his wife, and after 1 year the couple got divorced, and later on after 2 years the wife died. So if the husband is making regular payment of premium even after divorce, then he will get the compensation for the death of his wife even after divorce, because the insurable interest must be present at the time of taking policy. So yes, the person should have the insurable interest in particular property. Not in the case of life insurance, is not property, is life. And next one is, it is not the contract of indemnity. It means that insurer cannot promise you to bring back the life or bring back the same condition. So because the life of human being cannot be compensated and only a specified sum of money is paid. That is why the amount payable in life insurance on the death of the assured is fixed in advance. So you can see the principle of indemnity is not applicable, and rest of that, insurable interest and utmost good faith are the principle which are applicable in case of life insurance. So these are the main elements of life insurance. Moving to the next type of insurance, that is fire insurance. So fire insurance is a contract whereby the insurer, in the consideration of a premium paid, undertakes to make goods any loss or damage caused by fire. So fire insurance is a protection against the loss which are caused by the fire in the factory or any building or property. There are some conditions and there are some things which you should remember in case of fire insurance, that there must be actual loss and the fire must be accidental, not intentional. Yes, because if they found that fire is intentional, there will be difficult to get the compensation. Some of the main elements that it is the insurance of the insurable interest. Here the principle of insurable interest is applicable in this. We already discussed what is principle of insurable interest. This contract is the contract of utmost good faith, that they must be honest and they must disclose all the facts and all the material facts about the nature of property and risk attached to it, and the insurance company should disclose all the facts to the policy of the policy to the insured. The contract of fire insurance is a contract of strict indemnity. It means in the event of loss, the insured can recover the actual amount of loss or maximum amount of the policy, whichever is lower but not more than that. So it is a contract of indemnity. And next one is the insurer is liable to compensate only when the fire is the proximate cause or the damage of loss. Yes, so principle of proximate cause is also applicable here. For example, if the overheating without ignition cause the damage of goods, it will not be regarded as a fire loss, and hence insurance claim cannot be recovered, because suppose it is given that due to the short circuit, if the fire occurred, the compensation will be given. But here it is the overheating without ignition, overheating without any overheating due to any kind of reason. So the compensations cannot be made, because compensation can be only made if the damage is occurred with the dominant reason or with the proximate cause. So these are the elements of fire insurance. I hope you understand that. And next type of insurance, marine insurance. So marine insurance is the agreement where the insurer, called underwriter, undertakes to compensate the insured, generally the owner of ship or the cargo, for the complete or partial loss at sea. So this type of insurance is insurance which is done by the ship companies or the companies who transport the things through the shipways or through waterways. So this insurance provides protection against the loss of marine perils or perils of the sea, for like example collision of the ship with the rock, or the ship attacked by the enemies, or risk of the theft of the good. So marine insurance is mainly for the ships and for the transportation companies who act through the waterways. So there are three types of insurance involved in marine insurance: ship or hull insurance, cargo insurance, and freight insurance. So ship or hull insurance is the insurance policy for indemnifying the insured for the losses caused by the damage to the ship. So this is the insurance of the ship. Okay. Cargo insurance is the insurance of the goods which are transported in the ship. For example, like risk of theft, loss of goods. This may be at the port or on the voyage or on the way, you can say. Thus, an insurance policy can be issued to the cover against such risks to the cargo. Cargo means the products which are transported through the ship. So this is the insurance of the product, or you can say cargo. And next one is freight insurance. So freight insurance is the insurance for the reimbursing the loss of freight to the insurance. Freight is the amount of money which is paid by the paid to the transportation company or to the by the transportation company to the ship owner or by the consumer, you can say. So to protect against the loss of the freight you can say kiraya जिसे बोलते हैं, भाड़ा अपन जिसे बोलते हैं. If the cargo does not reach to the destination due to damage or the loss in transit, because in such a case the freight charges are not paid to the insurance company. So to protect against from that, freight insurance is done. So there are three kind of insurance in marine insurance: ship or hull insurance, cargo insurance, freight insurance. So we see some of the main elements. So the elements of the marine insurance is same like fire insurance. It is the contract of indemnity, it is the contract of utmost good faith, and the insurable interest must be exist. Okay, so all the principles which are applicable, all the elements which are applicable in fire insurance are the same in case of marine insurance. So This is all about the insurance, and the next type of service, that is communication in communication service. We'll discuss this further, because one of the topic, that is postal service, is removed from your chapter. So this is all about the insurance, and the table, this is given here, the difference between life, fire and marine insurance. This is also given in NCERT. You just give the look on that. If you find any problem, please message me anytime. So this is the table, and this is one of the topic in the PPT, health insurance, which is becoming quite popular nowadays because of corona and because of many disability for the illness. It is not the part in your NCERT, but yes, I'll give you the brief introduction about that. Health insurance is the insurance which protects against from the disabilities due to the illness or accidents, maybe apparent to the family, because it is not only cuts of the income and also create a large medical expenses. So to protect from the risk of medical expenses and disabilities, this health insurance is done. So this is all about the insurance, and which is regarded as one of the most important kind of business services. Please go through it, and please read your NCERT book and read the topics. It will be very easy to understand. Thank you very much.